what should be happening with fast fashion. The biggest offenders are the older retailers that are still buying spring, summer in advance, autumn, winter in advance. Nobody can predict that anymore. If you're buying 5,000 from Hong Kong for autumn, winter 2021, you're mad as hatters. You're absolutely bonkers. Nobody knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's really easy for all of us to look at industry and going like, oh, that need to be changed and it's all fixed. Nothing works like that. Different country work differently, different culture work differently. And as you say, different factories have their different rules. And without knowing that, and what Q was saying, if you only have some of the data, and right now we're bombarded with not that it's not enough data. I feel like it's so much everywhere. It's really hard to know, okay, this is true, this is true. How are you going to find the roots of that? Us in the industry sometimes cannot find the roots of something that we even like know very well, because the data from the beginning was altered. And ooh, look at that. I know you guys want to talk about digital and virtual fashion show. And I would want to start this one with Siobhan first, because you did one with Fashion Innovation, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It was this September at the New York Fashion Week. And it was one of the few virtual fashion shows which was completely virtual. So the models were virtual avatars, the clothing was from real designers converted into virtual pieces and showcased in a completely virtual setting. So yeah, beginning to end, everything in that was virtual. I don't know if you've seen the fashion show. I'll be happy to post the link into the chats for everyone who hasn't seen it. And
it's really fun. I like it. I mean, you know, it has that whole Fifth Element feel to it. You like the people are floating, and I saw I forgot whose virtual fashion show what they went. All the panels in the front of the VIP section, they all monitors, and I feel like that's the way of things that can get adopted faster. It's the merging of the virtual reality and version of the AR, VR with people, because we're still social animals. We still like that aspect of meeting each other, seeing face. Like if I'm on this panel without seeing your beautiful faces, it will be a very hard conversation to just rip off myself. You know, I mean, I can do it with a glass of wine, but by myself it would be a little difficult. Yeah, but like human nature is you want to communicate for most of us, right?
Absolutely. So talking about the digital virtual, it's got to be a combination. That's where we are going with it. You can't, there's something called the uncanny valley in terms of digital and virtual. And this is something that has been known for a long time, that if a character looks very real, a virtual character looks very real, but they don't have completely human characteristics. The expressions are not quite right, or the way they smile is maybe just a little bit too wide, or just tiny little things that you notice subconsciously, but you can't just put your finger on. People actually shy away from those. They associate less with those than they do with cartoon characters. So this is something that virtuality needs to be very, very careful of as we move into the virtual space. Either it's completely human, or it's far enough away from real human that people can still associate with it. Just that intermediate space between them, that's the uncanny valley, which is best.
I want to see definitely cartoon character walking down the runway. That would just gonna be so much fun. And Jenny, your what you mentioned before, the platform is pretty much digital, and I actually seen a couple of different startups doing that and how to mimic the fabric draping, like what Alicia said, since we cannot touch it, to get that texture, the drape and the flow of the fabric on the garment, on the body is just crucial. That's your, what was it, Canyon Belly?
Actually, we do have a fabric file. So what happens is we've got about a fabric file of about 350 different types of fabrics, going from linen all the way through to very drapey viscose elastane. And once you upload the properties of that fabric, you do get drape. I'm not going to say it's 100% perfect because it's not, but I'd say it was 92% there. It certainly is enough to help you with making the patterns and help through grading as well. And I think the more fabrics that you add onto the fabric, the fabric bureau, the better. And we're just about to buy a scanner. It's quite expensive. It's about £10,000, but you put the fabric in and then you enter in the details, and then that becomes part of the package. So I think any new technology can be improved and refined, but it's a damn good start and really helps with sampling.
Since I'm American, every time you say 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds, to me is how much it weighed. So I'm like, wow, that's a heavy ass machine. I'm like, no, money. That nothing to do with that. Yeah, like when I remember AR first come out. No, VR first came out. It was very dizzying in the development because of lagging, and like what you say, just like a little bit difference. If it's a completely different, you know, you're playing video game, it's fine. It's just a slight different. I was so dizzy when I first tried that out. Alicia, you?
Virtual fashion with digital fashion, yes. I mean, this is very much I don't really work with what happened with the garment after that much. So to me, it's all about I'm very much working on the beginning. And at the moment, I am actually working with a co-founder in the tech space to help designer when they have an idea and they have it in their mind, and production manager when they want to find a material that is sustainable, that goes with it. They actually don't have a way to communicate internally in the brand very much. So we're trying to work on a score that you will give to a garment at the end on durability, recyclability, and carbon footprint. And to do so, we are obviously going to have to include a technology and 3D and all of that. So I'm definitely, with my work, my job, when I talk about it, I'm like, a textile agent is not a job of the future. Because of this is not the job of the future. My job has to adapt and change. I will become into technology. Everything I do will have to go into technology. Otherwise, we're all gonna die. As a figure, it's a bit like when you look at.
You're so positive.
No, but it's like, it's important to know what you're working towards. Otherwise, you're never going to develop. So it's a bit like, you know, everything you do, you know, is going to change. Even if you think about the world of influencers. I worked my very first job with digital company, working with what once they were called bloggers in 2009, and that they became influencer, and that they became front row people, and then they became absolutely essential. But at the beginning, no one knew what it was. There weren't even the vlog, you know, video blog. There was no YouTube that was using that. So it changed it. And then I saw it developing in the space of 3 to 4 years into the biggest change the fashion industry have seen in social media and changing trend. Anyway, I'm not saying it's good, it's bad. I'm just saying this changed, and the same has to happen. And I think virtual reality, digital fashion, it's a necessary evil, because I'm very much for touching things, but it's not going to be enough, because COVID told us that, because Brexit told us that. There are things that are, yeah, it's true. Yeah, exactly. So yes, that's my view.
I totally agree on that standpoint. It's an evolution. These are tools. These are tools for you to able to have a material science better. So you can still have the touch, but you also have the virtual space that you're able to combine them together. And there's so many people out there that, especially the trying time we have right now, you see a lot of divide, and there are people who are scared of the comfortable way it is. Nothing wrong with that. Change is scary. But as you said, influencer didn't exist before. So, and they create new job, because we're going to keep on adapting to new things. New job will start. And there's Influencer Academy. That word does not freaking exist 5 years ago. And you know, you can get certificates to be an influencer. I saw that, I'm like, wait, so you get a paper say you can be popular to other people? Like, well, I don't, like, do we need that much validation to the point that you need a paper to say, yeah, you're getting validation from other people for something you do? I'm like, oh, that's too meta for me. Akil, for storytelling part, I know we want to move on to the next question, but it also have to incorporate virtual and a sense of technology into it, because then you will have to start to calculate the footprint of digital platforms, because you use electricity, you know, you have manpower. So thoughts on that?
It's actually a really cool conversation, because our platform has always been entirely digital. And what we used to find, like pre-pandemic, is like we were like in a side, because for most of the larger companies, it's like 20%, 30% was coming through like online channels and 70% through retail. Now that equation's completely flipped. And now they're like, oh my God, we got to scramble. We got to, like, you know, whatever you're doing on the website, let's do that everywhere. Let's kind of have the metrics show up like on our tags, have QR codes, which, you know, they were dying out. Now all of a sudden they're back, right? Like, and kind of let's have that into the storytelling conversation again. So we're seeing this kind of, the pandemic has been a huge jolt in terms of digital adoption. You have amazing technology like Shivang's, which are really helping cut down waste through like size ID and all these kinds of different solutions. And you have greater adoption of measurement and like transparency systems. And you have like greater communication systems being built in from a digital channel as well. And to your point, Bunny, what we're finding a lot of brands are doing is also starting to measure the impact of their digital channels, which they never did. One of the cool things I've seen recently, I don't know if you checked it out, but Organic Basics set up like a low impact website. So you have the high impact, like nice website. If you're a returning customer, you already know what it's about. You have the low impact website without big images, with like just basic text. So
what, HTML coding? Pretty much. Here's a box.
but if you think about it, that actually reduces the website footprint by about 95%. So it's like, it's really smart thinking like that.
This is the first time I heard about that. That is very interesting. Yeah, I have never thought about, even in that space, energy as a consumption, you know, all of these little bits and pieces. Whoever behind that, good job. A little applause for whoever it is. They don't even know. Yeah, so we're coming to almost wrapping it up, but we will want to find, like, what do you think of what are the innovative way that's not only adaptable, but hopefully to inspire others to have change? I wouldn't put up post-pandemic or not, because technically we're still in it. We don't really have an exact measurement of when it's end, but it is a new normal, and we are resilient as a species. We will find ways to keep on going. But in the near enough future, what are the innovative way? Like, okay, yeah, this is something that's where we're gonna go look for a different solution.
Something that we've noticed is a very small local circular economy has occurred, and that's definitely been since the pandemic. So we recently won a contract with the GLA, Greater London Authority, called N17 Creative Callings, and it's to help anybody with a creative idea to get their business off the ground. And one of the things we almost insisted on was that there was a retail shop, because actually I do agree with what you were saying before, but I think people love to feel and touch garments. People like shopping. It can't all be online. And actually what we've done is we put 5 machines in the shop, and we've encouraged the locals to come in and use the machine so they can make their own garments. And we've put in all of our old waste fabrics that we use from production. We always get half a roll left over, or we have sampling lengths that we haven't used, and we're selling them at less than half price. So what's happened is that we can help anybody now. You know, you don't have to be a designer to have a good brand. You just have to have a good idea, and you need lots of persistence as well. You need to be quite dogged to be able to get your idea to fruition. So certainly during this sort of pandemic, we've seen people being furloughed, and they're suddenly really questioning their life balance. Like, do they want to go back into London to work? Do they want to be stuff like cattle on the underground. Actually, no, they don't. And there's lots of creative people out there, and they're saying, well, actually, I've had this good idea. Let me have a go at developing it. They don't always have the technical skills, which is why we have something called the Fashion Technology Academy, and we can teach technical skills from a level 1 through to a level 5. But certainly there is this sort of new army of ethically conscious young design, not actually young designers, young brands, any age. Actually, lots of middle-aged women where their children have flown the nest, are looking at creating their own brands. So, Alicia, you know, people will need your services. In fact, everybody on this panel, they're going to need your services to be able to do this. And we opened a shop in Font Hill, which used to be the mecca of the fashion industry when I used to be a buyer for M&S. And we're amazed how many really positive, creative people are out there. They just need a chance. So that's the biggest innovation that we've found so far, and it feels good. It feels good to recycle clothes, upcycle clothes, use fabrics that we're recycling as well. You know, this is a new generation that's occurring.
So Jenny, just wanted to quickly jump in on that. That's so true of what we're seeing as well. All the best innovation we've ever found that's come out has been from the small brands first.
Yeah.
They're the ones where the founders have a very clear vision and they're willing to take the risk. And then what typically happens is the bigger brands, they'll kind of see that and be like, okay, let's try and do this. So the innovation, the pioneers, you know, Bunny, you mentioned a point before, as you're the first adopters, the early adopters. There's a saying to that, the pioneers get the arrows and the settlers get the land. That's exactly the strategy that's happening right now, where it's a pioneering brand. You go out there, take the licks, and then the big brand will either come and buy you up or, try and like imitate your strategy moving forward. And as I'm saying this, I just got a notification pop up saying that H&M is closing 250 of its stores because it's shifting to digital more and more. So this is exactly what's happening. And a lot of brands that we work with, which tend to be small and medium enterprises, they've already done that digital shift almost 100% now as a result of the pandemic. And you're going to see that happen for a lot of the larger brands as well.
Oh yeah, completely. And like what Selfridge is doing, it's start focusing more on you guys haven't heard, like Selfridge pretty much turned their department store empty space into experimental space. You can see how the garments made, how things are upcycled, how things are recycled. So because like consumer behavior is trained, it's not born with. So if you're only gonna have commercials, only focus on, oh, I look pretty, that's what you're teaching the consumer. Now, if you're showing like, oh, there's a story behind the garment, there's human being behind it, and you have much more empathy attached to something you make. And that itself inspire more conversations between small brands and big brands, because now you have that empathy. You know what? It's not necessarily evil, necessarily good. Let's have that conversation. Let's not just like preaching to the choir, because a lot of time, in sustainability community, we're talking to each other. Like start reaching out to others with different opinions you might not agree with, but then you understand their point of view, and then you understand how they view you, and there might be spark there. Oh, we can keep on talking, but that's like meaning we're at the end of our time. So we are going to all put our information in the chat box. So everyone, you can feel free to reach out to me, all the panelists, and continue this conversation. And our next session, we were going to go into the speed networking. So maybe you'll catch one of us already and start Q&A early. But if you missed that, we will have another Q&A session in the, well, it's already afternoon, but later afternoon, after the great panel, the material of the future. With that said, I think I want to give each panel one more thought, like what you want to share with everyone on the solution side.
I'll start. So I would like to share that be aware that you have an individual responsibility and you are as much as part of the solution as anyone else. So when you put into your head that you as a consumer, whatever you're a brand, you're a retailer, but you're also a consumer, if you put first and foremost your responsibility on whatever you do in your life that is taking care of the environment, from climate change, from dividing your plastic from your paper, from all of that, that's your own responsibility. And then if this is a mental attitude you use to the way you use clothing and you buy clothing, then it's gonna happen, because everyone has a responsibility and we're all gonna, you know, make it amazing, right?
Aww.
How emotional, right? Very emotional.
I know, little tear starting. So you need to stop. Can't fully cry. We do have the networking afterwards. It don't look good with makeup going down.
I love it. I love Bunny. I love you. You know what? One thing to you is we didn't really know each other much before, and I love that your viewing is including so much of social behavior as well. And I think it's extremely important to remember that social behavior is our own behavior, and we can make that change fast. You know. So thank you. That's
I
it.
pay her to say that. No. Thank you so much. Well, since you talked about me, I will jump in with what I want to say. I want to wish everybody have a bit more empathy to each other. I know it's more on the emotional side, but I think so important, because it's so easy to shame somebody. It's so easy to be angry, but it comes from such a negative place. It does not help promote a better behavior or better reaction. And you do have a voice, and you don't have to do things, even though I am in the entertainment space. Just because you have a view, you don't need all these followers to tell you that there's a worth. One person saw it, you feel it yourself, that's already gonna make you feel good. And have a bit more understanding that not everybody come from the same place, and we can have that conversation peacefully and find a solution. So who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Sorry, Akhil. I'm sorry, Jenny.
Okay.
Just very quickly.
Very quickly, because we are in past time.
Yeah, well, just to sum up, I would love to get the message out to the drivers of the fashion industry, the big brands, the buyers, that they don't need to be scared of innovation and scared of change, because just because something's been done the same way for decades doesn't mean it can't be done better and make you more money at the same time. So just keep an open mind. It's not that difficult. And there's people like us, like Jenny, like Akhil, like Alicia, all of us who can handhold you and walk you through this.
Well said.
Thanks, guys. That is amazing. Our networking session is starting now. It's only 30 minutes and it's speed networking. So if you can all jump on to the next session, we can talk more there, and there's still Q&A at the end of the day, still more time to talk. So I'm going to be ending this session in about 30 seconds. Is everyone seeing in the chat how to log into the next session? I'll leave it open for a few minutes just for you guys to get into that. Thank you, guys. A round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have fun, and we'll definitely want to continue chatting. So the link is in the Zoom, so you can just click on it.
Yeah, so the login details are there. So we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.